event this morning. We ask you to please kindly take your seats. Les pedimos que tomen su asiento a los que aún faltan, por favor. Ok. Gracias. Buen día a todos. Sean todos bienvenidos. Extendemos un cordial saludo a aquellos que se encuentran sintonizándonos a través de la transmisión en vivo. Deseamos que se sientan como en casa, aún a la distancia. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our event. We extend a warm welcome to everyone tuning in through the live stream. Behind you all, guys. We want you to feel right at home, even from afar. Demos comienzo al evento, ¿les parece? Tengo una pregunta para ustedes. ¿Qué van a estar haciendo el 17 de junio? Now, before we begin, let me ask you a question. What will you be doing on June 17th? Feel free to pull out your phone and ask Google, if that's what you need to do. Pueden tomar su celular y preguntarle a Google cuántas semanas son de aquí al 17 de junio. Yeah, well, if we count them, it's going to be 12 weeks. Si las contamos, van a ser 12 semanas. El 17 de junio es justamente 12 semanas a partir del día de hoy. Y las empresas que hoy comienzan el programa van a haber logrado $1 millón en órdenes de compra gracias a este programa. Did you know that those businesses that are starting today will be able to make up to $1 million in those 12 weeks due to this program? That is our goal. Increíble, ¿no? Cómo este tipo de programas es posible gracias a personas como cada uno de ustedes que se comprometen a la innovación sustentable a través de la promoción de la economía local. Una vez, muchas gracias a ustedes por estar con nosotros. That's awesome, isn't it? These type of programs are made possible because of people like you here today and everyone who is committed to building the innovation economy in the borderland. So once again, thank you all for joining us this morning. Para nosotros, todos ustedes son embajadores de marca y nuestra mejor carta de presentación. Es por eso que les pedimos tomen sus teléfonos y nos sigan en LinkedIn y Facebook. Las pueden encontrar fácilmente escaneando el código QR que ven en las pantallas o a través de The Bridge Accelerator. Aquí está. Okay, now we invite you all to follow us on social media. You guys are our brand ambassadors and our first impression to the program. So if you can continue supporting us by scanning the QR code. We appreciate it. Also at the entrance, some of you got a handle, and in there you have our social media links as well. A continuación, para ahora sí dar inicio a la ceremonia, dejo el lugar a Ricardo Mora, CEO de Technology Hub y cofundador del programa de Bridge, para compartirnos unas palabras de bienvenida. Recibámoslo con un caluroso aplauso.
Gracias, Maite. Buenos días a todos. Good morning, everybody. My name is Ricardo Mora. I'm the CEO of Technology Hub. We're a business innovation center located in the former U.S. consulate in Ciudad Juárez, Chihuahua, Mexico, across from El Paso, Texas. And I say this for those that are watching us online. Buenos días, Ricardo Mora, mi nombre. Voy a hacer un poquito español-inglés. Soy el CEO de Technology Hub aquí en Ciudad Juárez, un centro de innovación. Technology Hub Juárez is the ultimate innovation and entrepreneurship business center for manufacturing industry, for businesses and startups in northern Mexico. Technology Hub es el máximo centro de innovación para negocios, para la industria de manufactura y para startups en el norte de México. Today, Technology Hub has profoundly transformed the space into a platform where companies come together, industry comes together, and entrepreneurs grow their businesses. And when I talk about members, it's over 100 companies living in Technology Hub today. 6 years ago, that did not exist. We have 5 publicly traded companies within Technology Hub space and others that live within the space. So we're being true to what Technology Hub is. So I'm very proud to be a part of this. Sorry for my us. You can tell I'm reading. My things are sticking. T-Hub offers an innovative ecosystem with office spaces, technology training, and event spaces, connecting customers, business partners, and collaboration, contributing to the well-being of the region's economic development. The campus includes a Fab Lab, which is a digital fabrication laboratory, a venture fund, and most recently, we have a culinary school within the facilities. Technology Hub es un ecosistema innovador que ofrece espacios de oficinas, entrenamiento en tecnologías de la información y espacios para eventos. El campus incluye un Fab Lab, que es un laboratorio de impresión digital. Tenemos un fondo de inversión de capital semilla y más recientemente tenemos una escuela culinaria. Es realmente un campus con muchas facetas. We are excited today to have you join us for the kickoff of the 6th cohort of the Bridge Accelerator. The Bridge Accelerator is a binational supplier development program. In 2019, a group of regional leaders gathered to think about a problem that we could help with our communities. And during long conversations, we understood that in order to strengthen our community, we had to strengthen small and medium-sized companies. Entendimos en 2019 que la manera de salir adelante como región teníamos que fortalecer a los pymes. Entonces, nuestro equipo de liderazgo generó objetivos claros y piloteamos un programa que hoy es The Bridge Accelerator. La primera generación se dio en 2019. In 2020, we were challenged with COVID, and the program went virtual, like everything, 2 years ago. But we're happy to be returning in person. I'm happy not to be wearing a face mask. Some of you are not, but we're happy to be here today to see faces. Manufacturers in the region purchased more than $39 billion when we started this program. Last year, $50 billion US, manufacturers in the regions purchased them, yet less than 2% were sourced from regional vendors. That is a problem. And that problem is an opportunity for the Bridge Accelerator. That's the solution that we're trying to do today. The Bridge Accelerator is a binational accelerator and innovation training program that seeks to expand the participation of small and medium-sized companies as suppliers of large manufacturers in the Paso del Norte region. So what are the benefits for the manufacturing industries? For the big manufacturers, what are the benefits of programs such as this? Closer product distribution, higher efficiency and productivity, strengthening their supply chains, and access to regional vendors. And what are the benefits for the suppliers that are sitting here today that will be part of this new cohort? Talent development, industry connections, access to capital, and of course, new business opportunities. And I want to take a little pause here, and I want to be very clear. We're not going to hand you $1 million purchase order. Yes, Maite, most likely you will get it, but we're not going to do it for you. We're not guaranteeing that that will happen. The program will teach you how to get there. We will help you. All the instructors in the program will help you to do that, to build connections, to build trust, to get those purchase orders. But it's ultimately up to each company that is participating here today to be a company that wants to do it, to desire to attend each module, and how we say it in Mexico, tener hambre. Tener ganas de lograrlo. So this is a challenge. Take the opportunity. So fast forward to 2022 today, and our key results are the Bridge Accelerator, 52 companies have graduated from this program. With pandemic, 52 companies have gone through the program. Thousands of purchase orders totaling $29 million US from the companies that have participated in the program. 300 plus new jobs have been created in our border region, and over $500,000 in seed capital for these companies. These are impressive numbers. And this is what the Bridge represents for our community. And it's very important to say that these types of programs do not come available by themselves. They happen through private and public partnerships. And this is why this is what we're looking at today. So this program would not be possible at all without our generous sponsors. You can see a lot of our sponsors here And on behalf of Technology Hub and the advisory board and the partnering organization, Pioneers 21 in El Paso, Texas, I would like to thank our generous sponsors for believing in programs as the Bridge Accelerator. Thank you to our title sponsor, Microsoft, for taking the first step and believing that we could put this together. Thank you, Microsoft. Hand of applause. And I'd like to also thank each and every one of our sponsors. Tecma Group, Secretaría de Innovación y Desarrollo Económico del Estado de Chihuahua. Flow Networks, formerly known as Transtelco. The City of El Paso Electric. Novamex, CESA Medical, Fix at NMSU Arrowhead Center, Hunt Family Foundation, Desarrollo Económico de Ciudad Juárez, Detroit Axle, Workforce Solutions, Westar Bank, High Desert Capital, MT Net, La Nogalera. And of course, a special thanks to our allies, El Paso del Norte Community Foundation, Barracuda Public Relations in El Paso, the Paso del Norte Health Foundation, the U.S. Consulate in Ciudad Juárez, el Consulado General de México en El Paso, Pioneers 21, el MCA, Fundación Axel, AI Center, el CITA y Senaltec, y muchos más. Eso es un ecosistema que se está desarrollando. Un aplauso, por favor, a todos los patrocinadores y aliados. Y pues, sin más, voy a presentar a nuestro ponente, a José González. I would like to welcome a close friend and an amazing entrepreneur. José Antonio González is the CEO of Infolink EXP. He's an Inc. 500 honoree and founder of Sahori CX platform. José Antonio is a serial entrepreneur. He has co-founded and led technology and services-based companies in Silicon Valley, the U.S.-Mexico border, and Spain, and has more than 20 years of experience. Jose has a unique multinational background that includes starting and running technology companies, including data analytics, internet services, software, IT services, nearshore outsourcing, customer support, where he has helped develop strong multidisciplinary team experience. Jose is a Ciudad Juárez native entrepreneur. He's from Ciudad Juárez. Welcome today, Jose. Super excited to have you. Gracias.
Thank you, Ricardo. Gracias. Well, that summary was actually a little bit dated, right? I have a lot more than 20 years of experience, unfortunately. Really glad to be here. Really glad to be here. I want to thank Ricardo, first of all, for bringing me here. Omar Saucedo as well, all of you at the Bridge Accelerator and the Tech Hub and all of the wonderful partners that you have. I think, let me find my, where's the pointer? There you go. Well, so I have about 20 minutes, right? Yeah. All right. So most of the presentations you're going to see on screen is in Spanish. So I'm going to speak in English, most of it, and that way we'll cover everybody. I'm really impressed with what the Tech Hub and the Bridge Accelerator do. I think it's fantastic. I met Ricardo about 10 years ago, or maybe a little more, when I was living in San Jose in California, and what he's done since here in this building, in this place, and the ecosystem that is built together with a lot of other folks and a lot of other partners is fantastic, right? I had the immense pleasure of living in the Silicon Valley for a few years, about 7 or 8 years, and what's unique about that place is the ecosystem. It's not that the entrepreneurs are that much brighter or It's a beautiful place for sure, but that doesn't have anything to do with, that's nature, right? But the what makes them unique is the ecosystem. What's important to build is the ecosystem, and that's what you're doing here, and I think that's fantastic. I'm going to tell you a little bit of our experience, or my personal experience, and I'm going to focus on some lessons. I thought that was what was fitting here was to talk about some entrepreneurship lessons, right? That I at least I consider important. These are my thoughts. These are my opinions. I'm not asking anybody to agree with them necessarily. You may hear a couple of things that you think are controversial or that you don't agree with. That's okay. These are things that I think are worth sharing, though. Let me start with who we are and as a company and who and what I do there. We're basically a global technology services company. That's what we are, right? And I stress the global part because we're not a big company. We're bigger than we used to be, but we've always been global. That was part of what we did day one, right? We thought of ourselves as a global company. We still are, and we are. Now we are. We obviously work in technology. Ever since I started my first business, which had the same name, InfoLink, back in '95. So I've been doing this for 27 years. All of it has been in technology. I'm not going to go through every step of the way because it would take all morning, but it's all been in technology. And the company, long story short, the company was refounded as InfoLink EXP. It was relaunched as InfoLink EXP back in 2012. And what we do now is we work with the technology industry, mostly companies in the Internet of Things, smart tech space, some software as well. And what we do is we provide services to help them scale, right? We mostly help them scale their customer support, their customer experience, operations. And we do that through services that we provide. We build tech support teams for them to support their users. But we also do that through our technology, right? This is a little bit about us, right? So the way we think about it is, a technology company is a technology startup, I should say, follows a pretty predictable pattern, right? Companies that are successful, they focus on their product first, meeting a need, developing a solution that usually involves developing a software product, a hardware product, a hybrid product, and then, is this on? Hello. Okay, there we go. I'm going to use this so I can move a little bit. They focus on their product first, and then they focus on, assuming that they're successful in validating their product and selling it to somebody. Then they gain a few customers, right? And if you're a business to consumer company, then maybe you gain a few thousand customers, users, and then you need to scale. Then you need to do that. You need to make that a lot bigger. And when you do that, and when you start focusing on your marketing and your sales, right? It's no longer just engineering. Now it's marketing and sales. And the more resource you put into marketing and sales, then the company starts doing this, right? That's where you hit the hockey stick, as they call it. When you hit the hockey stick, then the real challenges begin, right? Because manufacturing, a few hundred units, it's a lot different than manufacturing 100,000 or 500,000 units, especially if you're doing that in China or Mexico or wherever it is. So there's a lot of things that you need to scale, but that includes supporting your users. And when you're talking about technology products, there's an adoption element there, right? People need to know, people need to learn how to use your product to solve their problem. So you need to train them, you need to help them set up, you need to support them along the way. That's what we call the customer journey. So that's what we do, right? We absorb a lot of that complexity. We absorb a lot of that complexity on behalf of our customers, upscaling their support operations. That's where we are today, where the company is now based in San Jose, in California. Obviously, our biggest operation center is here in Juarez. We have one in Spain, in Malaga. We have a team in Mexico City. That's as far as we've gone. And as Ricardo said, we've been on the Inc. 500 the last couple of years as one of the fastest growing private companies in the US. This is some of our technology, right? This is our analytics technology, and later in the year we'll be releasing what we're calling Sahori Virtual Teams. That's our global talent platform, right? So we're going to get into the game of building teams using global talent, right? So you may have some people based in Juarez, and then maybe some based in Argentina or Costa Rica or Ireland or Spain. And the platform will allow you to source that, to train people to operate to run the operations. These are tech support operations. And all of this is AI driven, right? Because we'll need to match requirements to people's talents, for example, among other things. So we're doing our AI development in Mexico City mostly, and some of it here in Juarez. So let me get into the lessons. I'll try not to take too long here. I love this graph, right? Because to me that tells all. If you're thinking that your entrepreneurial journey is going to be like this straight upward arrow, you're mistaken. It's going to look messy. It's going to look like that. And if you're lucky, then you'll make it out the other end, right? A lot of people get stuck down here. They never make it out. But that's really what it looks like, right? So the lesson here is don't get discouraged. One thing an entrepreneur cannot do is get discouraged. Being an entrepreneur is, entrepreneurs are such a valuable commodity. I think everybody here knows that, because a lot of you are entrepreneurs and other people are trying to create more entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are a really valuable character these days, right? What we do is immensely valuable. The multiplying effect of what each of you does is so big, it's so great, that we really need to make sure that we don't get discouraged along the journey. I always talk about being an entrepreneur versus a business person. They're not the same thing. In Spanish, we kind of get them confused because they kind of read the same, right? Emprendedor is not the same as empresario. They're both important. They're both needed. But there are a few qualities that entrepreneurs have that are quite unique. Number one, an entrepreneur is always creating something that wasn't there before. They're creating something. They're founding something. That is an extremely important element. As a business person, you may be managing something. You may be growing something. You may be leading something. You're not necessarily creating something. Okay, so that's one unique characteristic. Secondly, there's got to be creativity there. Entrepreneurs need to be creative. There's no way around that. If you don't have that, then you need to find it. Third, risk-taking, right? That's such an underappreciated element, I think, of being an entrepreneur. The risk that we take on is a lot. And when you build companies and you're trying to figure out how much, what percentage of ownership each person has, you need to take that into account, because you need to think about, at the end of the day, if I lose my customers, if I need to let go of people, if I owe taxes, if I owe vendors or suppliers or whatever, who's going to be left holding the bag? If it's you, then you better reflect that in your capital structure, because you're taking on the risk. You're the entrepreneur. Risk taking is the third element, and terribly important. I'm going to refer to these quote. And by the way, you probably noticed by now that what I wanted to talk about here are things that are kind of basic in the entrepreneurial, in the entrepreneur and entrepreneurial journey, right? I'm not talking about the how-tos, right? The Bridge Accelerator is going to teach you how to sell and how to present and how to build a sales, an investor pitch, and how to do some of these things. I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to get into more basic things that I think are needed in an entrepreneur. Based on Eric Ries's definition, he wrote a book called The Lean Startup a few years ago, which is kind of the Bible around building an agile startup. And what he said, this is his definition of a startup, right? It's a human institution designed to create new products and services under extreme uncertainty. Extreme uncertainty. This is not a business that somebody else built and you're just running or growing or taking to the next level. You're doing this for the first time. You're taking on that uncertainty of whether this is going to work or not. So this is different than running any other company. Running a startup is different than running any other company. That's why a business person is not an entrepreneur. They're different. I talked about a few things that I think make an entrepreneur unique, but there's other characteristics that we may talk about. I'm going to focus on only 3 of them. There's 5 there, right? So vision, obviously, because you need to ideate. You need to come up with an idea at some point or more. So vision, certainly, you need to anticipate what your clients want, what your market is. You need to, like they say, right, follow the puck, like in hockey, right? You need to anticipate things. That's the vision part. Passion is kind of self-explanatory, right? And if you don't have passion, I mean, I don't know what to say, right? For your business, right? You shouldn't be doing it to make a buck. You shouldn't be doing it because you need a job. You should be doing it because you want to create something new and you want to grow it. But the last 3, I think, are things that aren't usually talked about, and I want to go into that. Knowledge, operability. That's, I came up with that. I'll admit, you're not going to find that elsewhere. Operability, but I'll tell you what that means. And then how that creativity that we talked about is used to actually innovate, right? This is an example of an entrepreneur. I actually know this guy personally. He's an Indian entrepreneur. His name is Nirav. He's a few months ago, I think, maybe about a year ago, he launched a company to design a modular computer, a computer that anybody in their home can take apart and reconfigure. It's a laptop. And my point in showing you this is, look at the guy's resume, right? He spent about 7 years or maybe 5 years in Facebook. He was a director of engineering there. Probably not the only director of engineering, for sure. That's a large company. but he was director of engineering. Then he jumped onto Oculus. Oculus is, they're the ones that do the virtual reality headsets. You've probably seen, used for gaming and other things. Every product of Oculus that they built during that time passed through Nirav, right? That's how deep his technical expertise is. So obviously, he leaves and he creates a computer company, right? So my point here is you got to have knowledge about something. It doesn't have to be Nirav's deep, but you got to have knowledge about something, right? You can't just, you can't just come up with an idea, or I'm going to create a modular computer if you don't know anything about hardware or how computers are designed. That's why these people are in Silicon Valley and almost nowhere else, because that's where they gain that kind of experience, right? So, like Nirav, there's a lot of entrepreneurs that I've met. Silicon Valley and other places, New York City has a great innovation ecosystem. Austin, Seattle, other places do. But these are the kinds of people that you find there, right? They found companies that raise millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars because they know something. They have knowledge about something, they can back it up. But I'll give you other examples, maybe some more traditional examples, right? You see Howard Schultz there, the Starbucks guy. He didn't just come up with, "Hey, I'm gonna create a coffee chain." He bought Starbucks when he was little, and he spent years learning the coffee business. From being a barista to dealing with customers to learning about the coffee supply chain, pricing of the coffee commodity, all kinds of things about his business. When he actually went to investors to scale Starbucks, he was an expert in coffee. Warren Buffett, when he was like 14, the guy read the Wall Street Journal page, top to bottom. Right? He was working in his dad's brokerage firm when he was a teenager. Obviously, when the opportunity came to do something, on his own, he was prepared. He knew his stuff, right? The two guys on the right, right? Sergey Brin and Larry Page, founders of Google. They didn't just say, "Hey, it'd be great to have a search engine. Let's create one," right? They knew how to build algorithms, and they picked a problem: search. They were very focused and very technical. This guy you may not know, this is Amancio Ortega. He's the founder of Sara. Interestingly enough, in Spain, they consider Sara, the stores, the clothing stores, the first company in the country. Isn't that interesting? It's like the prime minister or the first lady. They have a first company. The first company is Sara. Actually, not Sara, but the holding company, which is called the Inditex. That guy founded it. He's into fashion, selling clothing, designing clothing. You know where he started? He was a tailor. He married a girl, and they started a tailor shop. And they custom tailored clothing for people. That's how he learned about fabrics. He learned about how to do vertical integration. He learned about what customers wanted, didn't want, what the market was, asking for. So these are all examples of the knowledge quality in an entrepreneur. So I think because you are working, many of you, in industrial kind of businesses, you're trying to sell into industry, you probably have that knowledge. So just figure out what that is and apply it in a focused way, right? This may sound a little controversial to you, but Hey, I'll say it anyway. At least in Mexico, maybe in other places too. I think in other places too. Sometimes entrepreneurs tend to get too comfortable too soon. You have a little bit of success and then you feel like you've made it, like the guy there, right? He's not at an age where he should be wearing a bow tie and smoking a cigar. I'm sorry. He should be working. He should be designing stuff. We get too comfortable too soon sometimes. Not everybody, but some people. Our culture sometimes motivates that in us, right? So don't be that guy, right? You need to stay involved. And that's what I called, what did I say? What? Yeah, operability. There you go. Operatividad en español, ¿no? Operability. Operability to me is, sure, you're the founder, you're the CEO, whatever. You need to stay engaged. You need to work in the business. You will need to work on the business as well. You need to talk to investors. You need to do strategic thinking. You need to figure out how to scale your company. Sure, that too. That'll come. But you need to stay involved in the business. If you design a robot, like Javier Acosta over here that I just talked to, don't just design a robot, right? Stay involved, figure out what's good with the robot, what doesn't work with the robots. Talk to your customers, figure out what's next, and what's next, and what's next. The entrepreneurs that I'm usually in touch with, in contact with, either because I know them personally or because they're my clients, are that kind, right? They're not the cigar smoking type. They're people that are doing things. They're working with their teams. They're heavily involved in designing and engineering products and marketing products. You need to stay involved. And then let's talk about innovation, right? We talked about creativity initially, right? And creativity has to do with coming up with stuff, coming up with ideas, being creative, right? That's not innovating, though. I encourage you to read that book, The Lean Startup. It'll tell you a lot more about it than I can, but that's not innovating. Innovating, like it says there, is a process. It's not an idea. It's not coming up with an idea. It's a process. And it requires a commitment to creativity, but also to iteration, if you know what I mean, right? So that's kind of the cycle that you go through, right? You come up with an idea, you build something, and then you test it out. You take it to a customer. You have them use it, even if it's for free. If they pay you, great. That's even better, right? And then you measure what comes out of that. Does it work? Does it create the kind of output benefits that you were hoping for? You do some measurement for the various features that the product has, and then you evaluate and you assess whether you want to whether that's worth pursuing. If it's not worth pursuing, then you abandon that and you move on to the next idea. If it is worth pursuing, then you learn from that and then you build again. Right? That's the innovation cycle. That's what you need to kind of systematize within your operations, right? It's not just having an idea and telling your guy to implement it. It's having a system that allows you to build something, test it, measure, learn, and then go from there. So just to finish this off a few more minutes. This is I kind of had these 5 lessons here that I think are worth talking about. They've been useful for me. These are not, I'm not a know-it-all, believe it or not. I try to keep an open mind, but these are things that have helped me, that I've learned along the way, that I think are worth talking about. Number 1 is pick a problem, right? Pick a problem to solve. Don't try to do too many things at once. Just pick a problem. The Google guys picked search. That was their problem. They picked search. There's all kinds of things that they could have come up with, I'm sure. They picked search. That was a problem that they solved. We at InfoLink, we solve a scalability problem. That's the problem that we solve. Companies are trying to grow much more quickly than they can with their own resources. So that's where we come in. I can tell you about many things that we do for them, but at the end of the day, it's about scaling. They have a scalability issue. That's the problem that we picked. Technology, processes, people, that's all part of the solution to the problem, but it's not the problem, right? Obviously, this needs, like we talked about before, this needs knowledge of your industry, and it needs you to be, it needs you to pay attention, right? I love when I talk to people. There's many people that I've met in my life that are like very intuitive about noticing gaps and problems that companies have and how they can help those, help solve those. I'm not like that, right? I struggle with that a little bit more than some people I've known. But you know, if you pay attention, then you can figure out which problem you want to solve. Secondly, think global, right? I talked about this in the beginning. I think this is important for this group actually, because yeah, you're working with maybe a local customer, even if they're a multinational company. You're working with their Juarez operation. You may be working with a Mexican company based in Juarez or in Chihuahua or whatever. It doesn't matter. You have to think globally, right? You have to work as if what you're building. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you. Gracias. Gracias. You have to work as if what you're building can be used by the whole world, right? If it works for a manufacturer in Juarez, it probably works for a manufacturer in China or in Hong Kong or in Singapore or in wherever. If you look at a lot of the companies that come from places like Silicon Valley, they're almost never built for an audience. Thank you. They're never built for an audience in California. They're built for at least a national audience, but most likely a global audience. I'm telling you this because I talk to these companies, right? This Nirav guy that's building the laptop, they have shipped like 3,000 computers. I mean, that's nothing. But they're already trying to figure out how to support customers in Singapore, in Africa, in West Europe, in East Europe, in Latin America, etc. It's never too early, right, to think global. Third, think scalable. Scalable. What does scalable mean? Ahí está en español. Scalable means the capacity that an organization has to grow and to increase its income or its revenue with an ever decreasing investment. In other words, selling your 1,000th unit should be less expensive than selling your first or your 10th. Does that make sense? As you grow, it should continue to get less costly. That's scale, right? Scale is not growth. Scale is growing at an ever-increasing rate of efficiency. You're using less resources every time you grow. I think, this is my belief, it may not be true, but I think almost everything can be can be scalable if you engineer it, if you think it right. Even a consulting business can be scalable. But you need to figure out which parts of that consulting business need to be systematized, for example. They need to be put into software, right? Because if the consulting business is just you, then you're limited by your time, and that's always going to be the case, right? There's only 24 hours in the day. So anything can be scalable. You just need to think about it. It's easier in some cases than others, right? Like I'll give you like the perfect example of scalability. A software as a service company. You have a server farm, and let's say it costs $1,000, and you can have one user, or you can have 1 million users, and it'll still cost $1,000. Right? It doesn't cost you anymore to add users as you go, right? I'm exaggerating, right? Obviously, at some point, you'll need to add servers, and you'll need to do things, but that's a very scalable model. A very non-scalable model may be consulting, something that needs people's expertise, right? Like an accounting firm. But there are still ways. Those are all the things that should be scalable, right? Your business model, which, by the way, should be as repeatable as you can. You know, if you're in the business of building custom solutions, that's not scalable. You need to figure out a way to make it scalable. So your business model, your marketing and sales need to be scalable. You need to figure out how to get to, 10 times more companies without costing you a fortune, or 100 times more companies. Your operations need to be scalable. You need to build that into your operational processes. Your team, right? Your financial model. Scalability touches everything. Oh, and by the way, your feedback loop should be scalable as well, right? You always need to figure out how you're going to hear back from your customers and learn from them. Focus, right? Don't do too many things at once. Focus. I really believe in this one. Here's the focus process, the way I see it, right? You pick a problem, you give it a solution, you test your hypothesis, validate it, and then you iterate, or you change course, you pivot, right? But you don't focus on 3 things at once. You focus on one, you validate that, and then you move on to the second one. And then lastly, execute, right? It's all about execution, and an idea is worth almost nothing. You need to execute on it. You need to find the people that will help you build something. You need to actually do it. You need to find customers. You need to have them pay for what you're doing. You need to build a team that can help you sell to a second customer, a third, a fourth, and a fifth. Execution is everything, right? It says there that it's a bridge between theory and practice, right? It's an indispensable ingredient to create something that is profitable and that is real and that is scalable. And I'll just finish off with this, right? This is kind of a... it's a binational audience that we have here. It's not just a Mexican audience, but still. This country is not doing great in terms of competitiveness on a global scale, right? We keep going down the charts. Or maybe we move up 2 positions and then go down 4 the following year. Digital competitiveness is also a problem, which is part of it, right? We're not doing great. There's a few quotes there that are recent that you'll find on the web of how Mexico is doing this. My point here is that us, this group here today, has a role in fixing that. And it's probably much more important than the government's role, actually. The multiplying effect of a company is fantastic, right? That's what gets me up, every day. That's why I get up every day, because I think it's so cool to see all the, that you build something where people are learning something new, they're doing new things, they're feeding their families, they're developing worthwhile goals, they're doing all these things, right? In any company, even if it's a small company, has that effect on our reality, right? So what you do is so important. I think that's what we can do, right? Number one, make sure that our ventures, make sure that our companies are successful. That's number one. If they are successful, man, you're doing this society and this world a great good. Think global, like I said before. Take advantage of models in international infrastructure, right? This is a great example, right? All of you that are going to be in this 12-week program, you're taking advantage of somebody else's knowledge, resources, business models, expertise. They're gonna teach you a lot of things that are really worthwhile learning. Take advantage of those, right? The Tech Hub is a great resource. The Bridge Accelerator is a great resource. And there are other ways, right? Just refer to your peers in other countries, in other places where they do this successfully. Develop talent, right? Especially since a lot of us are, these days everything revolves around technology, whether you like it or not. Then develop technical talent, for example. Develop management talent. Develop leadership talent. That's also our responsibility. And finally, let's do what we can to contribute to regulatory, context in this country. There other entities like Coparmex that can help us do that if that's something that you want to look into. So I'll leave it at that. I thank you. I probably took too long, but again, thank you for the invite. I hope this was worthwhile listening to, and Ricardo, again, Omar, thank you, and thank you everybody.
Sorry. It's fine. José, admiramos profundamente tu trayectoria y nos sentimos muy honrados por haber tenido este foro contigo. Nos gustaría hacer entrega de un pequeño presente para que nos recuerdes y recuerdes a Chihuahua donde quiera que vayas.
Pues yo soy de aquí.
No, pero a la distancia. Bueno, muchísimas gracias. Ahora cedo el micrófono a Omar Saucedo, TechSpark Community Engagement Manager en Microsoft México, que nos presentará a los participantes e instructores de la sexta generación.
Gracias, Maite. ¿Cómo se sienten? ¿Bien? Súper, ¿no? ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo están por allá? Oigan, bueno, pues yo quisiera resaltar un punto, y un punto que para mí siempre ha sido clave, y es una palabra que siempre me motiva y me ayuda a seguir, ¿no? Como dice José Antonio, me levanta, ¿no? Es el tema del agradecimiento. Y muchas gracias, José Antonio, por tu tiempo, por compartirnos tu filosofía, porque sé que siempre has estado apoyando este ecosistema y ahora lo vas a hacer todavía más. Por ahí ya empezamos a hacer agendas con algunas personas que están aquí, algunas áreas que tenemos nuevas en la ciudad que están vinculadas al Technology Hub, etcétera, etcétera. Muchas gracias, José Antonio. Para mí, pues, estar aquí en este escenario, siempre lo digo, es un sueño que está hecho realidad, que se está haciendo realidad, y es que Juárez está avanzando en temas claves. Por ahí el otro día salía una nota, no sé si la vieron, a nivel global, a nivel internacional, en Norteamérica, Nueva York y Ciudad Juárez están considerados como los puntos rankeados más número 1, ¿verdad? Para poder hacer investigación y desarrollo en la industria electrónica. ¿Lo vieron? ¿Verdad? Por una publicación internacional muy interesante. Y Juárez estamos moviéndonos hacia buscar resolver lo que nos compartía José Antonio. Lo estamos haciendo con mucho talento, con equipos muy valiosos, con infraestructuras, como lo es el Technology Hub. Quiero dar las gracias a quien hace posible que tengamos un Technology Hub y que estemos aquí en este lugar, a los que fundaron el Technology Hub, Ricardo Mora, Rubén, que está por acá, Fermín, no sé si anda por acá Fermín, y bueno, y Rodolfo Vázquez, que fueron quienes nos tienen aquí ahora. Gracias a este Technology Hub, Microsoft viene, se enamora, se conecta, JJ en Juárez, ¿verdad? Y gracias a eso, pues ahora tenemos un Tech Spark que apoya este programa de The Bridge Accelerator. Entonces son pasos que vamos dando gracias a la colaboración, gracias al ecosistema que se tiene. Hay muchos elementos y componentes que están atrás para hacer realidad esta historia que estamos construyendo juntos, ¿verdad? Y bueno, hay muchos elementos clave, pero realmente el corazón de este programa, de esta plataforma, el corazón se da en esas 12 semanas que dice José Antonio. Ahí ese es lo que pasa realmente como el punto de cambio, ¿verdad? De lo que nosotros queremos lograr con nuestras empresas participantes. Queremos lograr 3 cosas. Me encantó lo que dice José Antonio. Hay que escoger una. Vamos a tener que hacer un ejercicio porque voy a decir 3, a ver con cuál nos quedamos. La primera, modernizar y actualizar los modelos de negocio de nuestras empresas participantes. Número 1. Número 2, conectarlas o ayudarles a que se conecten con clientes potenciales. Y número 3, darles una exposición, una promoción más allá de lo local, como decía José Antonio, global. Y eso gracias a las redes y las alianzas y las capacidades que tenemos, sobre todo por la conexión con Microsoft o con otros aliados que por ahí ustedes pueden ver sus logotipos, ¿no? Es lo que queremos lograr. Pero al final del día, ¿quién lo logra? Ya lo decía Ricardo. Pues lo tienen que lograr los participantes. Por más que nosotros pongamos el diseño, realmente las empresas participantes son las que lo tienen que hacer, ¿verdad? Y eso de la mano de nuestros instructores. Voy a presentar muy rápido, ahora sí que el SWAT, ¿no? Este equipo de instructores que nos van a acompañar en esta generación. El programa es posible gracias a los instructores, pero también hay mentores, también hay aliados claves que durante el programa podemos vincular dependiendo de lo que nuestras empresas vayan requiriendo. Entonces, tenemos el primer módulo con David Andujo, el tema de innovación, justamente el tema de Lean Canvas, ¿no? Que aquí lo van a revisar, actualizar, tal vez algunos ya lo tienen, pero siempre es importante que ese documento se esté monitoreando conforme las cosas cambian. El mundo ha cambiado muchísimo en los últimos 2 años. Natalie Littlefield, que nos va a apoyar en el tema de descubrir al cliente, qué le estoy ofreciendo al cliente, cuál es mi valor agregado. Número 3, con Mauro Vega, vamos a ver aquí otro de los temas clave. No todo es idea, decía José Antonio, hay que ejecutar. Y para ejecutar, pues tenemos que aprender y ver cómo estamos haciendo la administración de nuestros proyectos, sobre todo de forma ágil, como se requiere ahora. El cuarto módulo lo va a impartir nada menos y nada más que nuestro priest, nuestro evangelista, Ricardo Mora, tema de marketing, revisar cómo se está viendo nuestro negocio en el exterior, cómo nos ven los potenciales clientes. Tenemos otro módulo que tiene mucho que ver con los procesos, que es el tema de asegurar la calidad, ¿verdad? Los sistemas y los procesos, con Alejandro Nájera. Siguiente módulo va a ser un módulo muy sencillito. Es el módulo número 6 con Martín Quechichan, que nos va a ayudar importado de Argentina, pero ya juarense, ¿correcto, Martín? Con el tema financiero, que este es otro de los puntos clave para que nuestras pequeñas empresas puedan conectar a hacer negocios. Es uno de los temas que generalmente tenemos que mejorar, cómo estamos haciendo la administración financiera de nuestros negocios. Tema 7, muy importante también, el tema del talento, que nos lo va a impartir Adam Marshall. Otro tema clave, a veces trabajamos, entregamos soluciones y cada vez las estamos haciendo una vez y otra vez y otra vez, nuevas, de manera artesanal, pero no aprovechamos el tema de la propiedad intelectual. A veces ni siquiera tenemos registradas las marcas, a veces menos se nos ocurre registrar una patente y si se nos ocurre ni sabemos a dónde ir o quién nos ayude. Eduardo Cervera es un experto binacional en este tema y él nos va a acompañar en el módulo 8. Módulo 9, el tema de cómo le hacemos para jalar más lana, ¿verdad? ¿Cómo le hacemos para tener más recursos, más inversión que nos ayude a hacer realidad nuestros proyectos con Carlos Murguía, que es el módulo 9. Y luego, al finalizar el programa en el módulo 10, lo que vamos a hacer es una integración sobre qué se logró durante el programa. Es un programa muy ágil, son realmente 10 módulos más 2 semanas de preparación. Es muy ágil el programa, pero no porque sea ágil, y esto es importante que lo sepamos desde ahorita, quiere decir que se la van a pasar como el emprendedor ese con el puro y el vino, ¿eh? Además están muy jóvenes todos, como dice José Antonio, hay que trabajar, yo digo hay que jalar. Y el programa tenemos que meterle tiempo y tenemos que trabajarlo con ustedes. Van a tener mucho acompañamiento, pero tenemos que construir el programa con ustedes para que en este último módulo lo que sucede es que se hace una integración de las herramientas que ustedes hayan aplicado, de lo que estén implementando en su empresa. Tenemos que demostrar, si no acá nos corre JJ, you're going to fire us if we don't show this, right? ¿Qué pasó durante el programa? ¿Qué logramos? ¿No? Obviamente queremos lograr ventas, queremos lograr prospectos, clientes, pero queremos mejorar nuestro modelo de negocio. Y alguien que es clave para el programa también, además de Orman Milán, que está en el módulo 10, es René Pons, que él nos acompaña durante el programa, porque yo decía de los 3 puntos de valor, tenemos que darles exposición, promoción, pero queremos que esa exposición y promoción sea de alta calidad, de alta imagen, como cualquier otra empresa en el mundo con la que podamos competir. Y entonces René nos va a ayudar a que esa imagen sea de ese nivel. Estos son los 10, más de 10 personas clave en lo que están en la instrucción. Decía Ricardo, tenemos ahora 52 empresas que han sido parte de este programa. Estamos arrancando el día de hoy la 6ª generación y esta 6ª generación participan 16 empresas o instituciones de nuestra región. Las voy a nombrar. Yo le decía a Ricardo, yo siento como que estamos nombrando un equipo de astronautas que van a ir a un viaje, ¿no? Y es un equipo muy especial porque queremos que estos equipos se conviertan en ejemplo a seguir de muchas otras empresas pequeñas que tenemos en la región del Paso, Ciudad Juárez y Las Cruces principalmente, y otras regiones como Chihuahua, etcétera. Aquí les presento entonces de manera para nosotros muy honorable nuestros participantes de la 6ª generación. Hidrodinámica y proyectos, Frontier Roofing Supply, Proper Print Shop, Ferremás Industrial, Mega Clean, DMD, Ofimodular, Inser, Paso del Norte Machining, Juárez Soft, B+, AMD, el Centro de Inteligencia Artificial, Medla, Servitrónica y Suma Medical. ¿Es Suma Medical, Pato? Suma, ok. Suma División Médica. Este es el grupo de empresas participantes y quien traiga la cámara, por acá tenemos a colegas de los medios, tómenle una foto a este grupo de PYME de nuestra región. Nosotros luego les vamos a tomar otras fotos y video de cómo estamos arrancando este programa y luego ahí nos vemos, como decía Maite, en 12 semanas que se van a pasar bien rápido a ver qué es lo que logramos. Decía Maite, $1 millón y alguien por ahí me pellizcó y dijo, ¿cómo crees que querría decir $1 millón de pesos? Think big, ¿no? $1 millón. ¿Por qué lo dijo Maite? Porque, por ejemplo, en la generación que acabamos de concluir, pues hubo una empresa que durante la generación generó un proyecto de de $1 millón. ¿Ok? Entonces, si lo hizo una empresa, ¿por qué no lo podemos replicar? Así como vamos escalando, pues para nosotros ahora ese es el reto, ¿eh? Ahora la vara es durante el programa, porque decía Ricardo, casi se han generado, las empresas que han participado casi han generado 30 millones desde que empezaron hasta ahorita. Ellos lo han generado. Ahora lo que queremos es subir esa vara. Si ya lo hicimos una vez, otra vez de nuevo. Eso va a ser posible solo si ustedes aprovechan todas estas herramientas. Muchas gracias por hacer realidad esto, a nuestros participantes, a nuestros instructores, a nuestros mentores, a nuestros aliados, a nuestros patrocinadores. Nosotros vamos a estar apoyándoles durante esas 12 semanas. Muchas gracias a todos.
Muchas gracias. Now we're going to give, I'm going to yield the floor to Jonathan Childress. JJ, our representative from Microsoft in the United States, Tech Spark.
Thank you, Maite. No, I'll make it, fairly quick. This is a really important program, not just for the region, but I do think for the world. When you look at some of the forces that we see happening right now, the global world order is changing, right? You see what's happening with the Ukraine-Russia and sanctions that are piling, and when companies start thinking where they're going to invest, where they're going to relocate their businesses, it's less of a view of East Asia, and it's how to bring opportunity back to North America. Some of these other forces where a lot of this manufacturing and opportunity that we saw in China, China has grown as an economy. Their labor force has gotten really expensive. And when you look at the cost of how far products produced in China is to get to end consumers, transportation costs, labor skill, it's a challenge. And we also saw disruptions with our supply chain with COVID. And all of that to say is that people are looking to North America to provide opportunities and the goods and services, for the world. And that's super important for El Paso, Ciudad Juárez, because we are at the nexus and intersection of these two very important global powers that I think will continue to produce and show leadership through the world. So all of the entrepreneurs here that are here creating something new, taking that risk and helping meet the needs and provide solutions to the world, you're doing incredible work. And echoing the sentiment I think Ricky shared, Jose shared, is that you have to do the work. All of this program, I think we have all the ingredients as a region. We have a kitchen, here, as a T-Hub, and they'll share some recipes. But at the end of the day, you actually have to cook the dish, right? And that's what you as the entrepreneurs will continue to do. Microsoft TechSpark was driven by two things. It's helping communities like El Paso, Ciudad Juárez create jobs and opportunities. There's no better mechanism to do that than innovation and startups. You drive the creation of jobs and opportunities for communities. And some of the sentiment shared, we do need partnership with government. We do need partnership from the stakeholders. But the business community can cross borders in ways that governments can't. They actually create the value within communities that translate into jobs and opportunities. And so what you're doing is not only really important for your companies, it's really important for the region and society as a whole. So view this as a noble pursuit. But with that being said, I think, are we ringing the bell? Just do the work, participate the work, and now we could actually formalize the cohort.
We request the presence of Omar, Ricardo, and Jose, please,
Jose Antonio.
for the traditional ringing of the bell.
Come.
Yes. Too many guys. Vente. Tú al centro, Maite. ¿Quién va a contar? Agárrenlo.
Bueno, a todos, 1, 2, 3. Sigue la foto.
Thank you. Okay. Well, it shows some more excitement for the 6th cohort of the Bridge Accelerator. We'll see you all in 6 weeks. Now we're gonna proceed to take the picture because you guys cannot back down anymore. We already show your pictures. So can I please ask the participating companies to come up to the stage for a group picture? Le puedo pedir por favor a todos los participantes de la 6ª generación que nos acompañen al escenario para la foto oficial de la inauguración de su generación. Sí, adelante aquí, alrededor de... Adelante.